What's good, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome back to the Water Boys channel as we will be diving into my first ever mock draft on this channel. There will be 2 rounds, but before we do dive into this, please be sure to subscribe to the channel as I will keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chiefs related. That's right, anything with the draft, free agent transactions, anything that goes on through the season you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's dive into my 2-round mock draft. So before we get full head of steam on this mock draft, I do want to have a couple of disclaimers because when we dive in, there's going to be one thing people notice, and it's I'm not going to address the cornerback position, and you may ask why. Well, in my head, and I'm pretty set in stone that I think the Chiefs will either sign Stephon Gilmore or trade for James Bradbury. I'm like at a 90% that will happen. Now, if it doesn't, I'll adjust accordingly. I want to do these mock drafts every week, probably every Monday, and have it adjust, change, maybe stay the same, and give you guys my point of views on that. And also, too, back to the cornerback, KC has never really, valued the cornerback position that high, whether it be in free agency and the draft. Last time they did that was with Marcus Peter, and they didn't even let him play out his full contract. You may say because of more personality and attitude-wise, but still, I just don't think cornerback is that value high need on this team. So that's why I didn't address it here. And also, too, I think they'll address it before the draft happens, either with the Bradbury and a Gilmore. Now, with this, too, I'm going to have probably a lot of questionable picks that people might be like, you're going with the huge reach. I don't know if that's a thing of need right now. But this is going to be a realistic one. And I might have one later down the week where it might be my dream my dream mock draft one that will take full steam ahead. And also, too, we'll dive more into the prospects, too. This week, I also want to get out my top 5 pass rushers. That'll be something where I don't rank just top 5 pass rushers in the draft. I think top 5 fits for this team. And that's going to be a fun thing that I want to dive into when we get more into this draft. But let's dive into this mock draft. And my first pick, the number 29th pick in round number 1, I'm going to go with Arnold. I'm always going to butcher his last name. I think it's, oh my goodness. Let me look it up real quick. Ebiketie. There we go. Arnold Ebiketie. Now, I'm going to keep messing that up because that's something that's got to stick in my head. But you got to look at this also, too. And like I said, I'm going to change it when positions come of value or like in my dream mock draft, too. But I would, honestly, in a dream scenario, I would want KC to keep all their picks instead of trading up. Now, I know there's a lot of fans that would be like, you got 2 of them, so one could bolster you to trade up to get like a Jameson Williams. If I was, I'd prefer a Chris Olave because he can be more of an impact starter right away. But I'm in a position to where we're just going to keep everything the same right now and move forward. And right now, I like Arnold Ebiketie, the pass rusher out of Penn State. Now, I also factored this too. If you wanted to ask me my opinion on who I like better, George Karlaftis or Arnold Ebiketie, I'm going to go with George Karlaftis. Now, I don't know if he'll be there. I think Arnold Ebiketie will be there, and honestly, he might have more upside. I think their upside is about the same. I think Arnold Ebiketie, he's more raw talent, and he's physical, and he's speed, and he's got his own spin moves in his arsenal that is very great to see. And he seems like he'll be a deadly pass rusher, just he's very raw right now. I would love to put someone like a George Karlaftis here, and I might in the future too, because if you go around social media or even like go Google and do NFL mock drafts, you'll see George Karlaftis there. But it's weird because earlier we've seen he might have been a top 10 pick, and then you see 10 to 20 range. I just find it hard to see that he would fall all the way to KC. If he does, I love it. But I think the selection at the number 29 pick should be Arnold Ebiketie. And now we'll jump to the number 30 pick too, where, like I said, we're keeping it all the same. I'm going to address the wide receiver position. And it's a guy who's skyrocketing up boards right now, and it's Christian Watson. Now, his stats may not wow you, even though they're nothing bad, like nothing to shy away from. He had one good year, around 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. Now, you may say, how does that warrant a first-round pick? Now, he blew away the scouting combine. He's doing his thing, and his measurements, his testing was amazing. Someone who's 6'4", around 200 pounds, and runs a 4.3 is crazy. And I think that's someone KC really would love in their offense. We've always been saying with guys like Josh Gordon, it's like we need big physical receivers. Just because he's 6'4" doesn't mean he's physical. I don't know about that, but I do know he is lengthy. I have seen some of his highlights. He does make contested catches, and he also runs very fast, and he's got that breakaway speed, and it's something you love to see. And I think he would fit our offense like tremendously. And I think, honestly, I think any receiver you put in this position, because now we would go in the debate in round one. You'd have a Jahan Dotson available. You could have someone maybe like a Treylon Burks. For some reason, he's fallen down draft boards too. Let's say Chris Olave is there. If Chris Olave is there, that's the pick. But I'm not going to say he is. I think between those three, Treylon Burks, Christian Watson, and Jahan Dotson, I just feel like Christian Watson has the most potential. I love Treylon Burks in his game. I just don't know if it translates to what this Kansas City offense is about. I think he'd be a better fit in a different team. Again, I wouldn't shy away from Treylon Burks. It's another one where he's crazy too, because early in the draft process, we heard, man, he's the next Deebo Samuel. He could go as high as Atlanta. And now he's falling down boards just because he tested bad. We've had people test bad plenty of times, and they've had great NFL careers. I'm not going to let that slide him. I just don't know if it's a great fit in this offense. But now we're going to jump into round two. And I'm sticking at the same position, folks, wide receiver. Now, do not fool yourself. KC is going to address wide receiver heavily, and here's why. If you look at their roster, who they have right now, they got a Mecole Hardman, they got a Juju Smith, they got MVS, they got Josh Gordon, and they got Darius Fountain. What do they all have in common besides MVS? They're all on one-year contracts. Now, do you really think KC is going to dive in the next offseason with that huge of a question mark where that wide receiver room might be empty? I don't think so. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted in the first round a wide receiver, and then they draft another one in round two, and then you basically have that set for 4 to 5 years. Definitely in the first round with the 5th-year option. And I think at number 50, Sky Moore. Now, him and Christian Watson would make a dynamic duo at the wide receiver position. He's another guy who's climbing up the boards. I think he'll be there at 50, but I don't know. That's how quickly he's raising up these draft boards too. It's going to be someone to watch our eyes for. He's a great fast possession receiver. He's smaller than Christian Watson, but he's very dynamic. I think he's got more of a route running tree than Christian Watson, which is weird. If you had to compare both, I might slight more with Sky Moore, but I really love Christian Watson in his game just because of like how big of a receiver he is and his tape pops off. But so does Sky Moore, and it just seems like he's got more in his arsenal as well. And you put them both together on this offense, that's a scary rookie duo you would have, and it would just be like, which one are you going to win Rookie of the Year? Like, that's going to be the fun thing. I really hope KC goes this route too. Now, another one you could fill in at the number 50 spot too is someone like George Pickens. Very great guy. The reason I didn't go there is because he's lengthy too and speed, but I went with that in round one with Christian Watson. Now, you can do vice versa roles, and that could happen. But maybe next week I could change my mind on that. But I like the duo of a Watson and Sky Moore. I think that elevates your receiving room. It doesn't replace a Tyreek Hill whatsoever. But if you're going to change this offense up, that's one way to start it. Now, my last pick in the second round, I want to say it's the 62nd pick. I could be wrong, but we all know it's later in round two. I'm going to address the defensive tackle, and I'm going to go with Perrion Winfrey. Now, people might be surprised why I'm going with this, but I was thinking it, and then, of course, someone on Twitter today had to mention that Chris Jones' cap hit next year is going to be $28 million, and then the year following, it's going to be $29 million. What does that sound like? That sounds like he has the potential of being cut. Now, it depends on what he does this year, production-wise, but even at that, it's still a high hit. And also, if he wants to restructure. But we've seen this in the past, and Chris Jones is the victim of it. Well, actually, Dontari Poe was the victim of Chris Jones when the Chiefs drafted Chris Jones in round 2, and they knew what they were going to do the following year by replacing Dontari Poe. This could be the same exact situation where these two boys, Perrion Winfrey and Chris Jones, play together for a year, try to clog up that middle, and then Perrion Winfrey, you're the new leader of Sack Nation, and see how it goes. It's not Sack Nation without Chris Jones, I already know, but if you want to try to develop a new guy, if you're going to try to build a team around the draft, I wouldn't be surprised this is the route to go. But also too, this isn't really the pick I'm feeling, and I know this one will change next week as well, because I really wanted to do 2 wide receivers and 2 pass rushers because that's where they struggle the most. I wanted to go with someone like a Nick Bonito, his teammate, or a Cameron Thomas. If you had Cameron Thomas or a Nick Bonito with the Arnold Ebiketie on both sides, that's also a beautiful line growing in the future as well. It's going to be interesting to see the route they take, but I just feel like defensive tackle will be taken quicker than most think, just because I know they got Chris Jones' contract on mine no matter how well he performs next year, and they might have to cut ties. That's what they do. KC looks in the future, and this is what this draft is going to solely be about. But Chiefs Kingdom, those are my 4 picks. That will close out round 2. That'll close out my mock draft. You let me know how I did down below. Grade my mock draft. Let me know any corrections you want, whether you wanted to upgrade in wide receiver, you think we're going to trade up. I will have a dream mock draft for you, I promise. It's just, I wanted to go with something slight work, easy. Honestly, I don't want them to trade their picks. They got 12 of them. This is your time to build. But again, if they do and they trade up for like a Chris Olave, I ain't going to be mad at you. But with that, I am checking out. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, because I will check in with you guys daily, so you do not want to miss out on any of that. And please give me that big thumbs up, and y'all take care.